What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Just a couple of bits and pieces to get into today. And we're going to start off with the big story that sent social media into a bit of overdrive yesterday regarding Eberechi Eze. And Paul O'Keefe says that Crystal Palace are no longer holding out for the majority of Tottenham Hotspur targets Eberechi Eze's 68 million release clause. Palace are willing to accept 3 instalments of approximately £20 million for Eze. It's a serious option for Spurs this summer, but they've not completely decided yet. A possible transfer would also include 8 million in add-ons incorporated into the deal. However, there is no guarantee that that would be paid if the criteria is not met. And, you know, we've been speaking about Eze for a while, saying, look, no club is going to slap 60 million bash straight on the table, especially Spurs. When you're looking at a deal, 3 clauses, 3 installments of 20 million, that seems more like it, doesn't it?
Definitely. We know that Tottenham are not willing to pay that 60 million up front, the way they run their finances, the way majority of Premier League clubs run their finances. Everyone likes to pay installments. I do like that bit at the end saying there's no guarantee if the clauses aren't met, they'll be paid. Well, yeah, that's a clause. That's how it works. Obviously, if the clauses are met, they're not going to Tottenham aren't just going to pay the extra 8 million if he doesn't get the 50 goals, if that's what the clause is. Like, it's a bit ridiculous. But yeah, that sounds like more like for Tottenham. Obviously, knowing Levy and Tottenham, they'll probably want it in lower installments over 5 years or something, knowing them. But 20 million over 3 years for a player like Eze, surely that's a deal you're thinking, all right, we should be getting this done. There's a real financial reason to not make it happen. I know there are a lot of people I'm seeing social media saying we don't need another left winger, we need a right winger. Eze doesn't really play on the right. So I do kind of get that argument. In that side, obviously I like both, and also we know the issues with the squad sizes. Also, that it might be depending on the future of Son as well. I feel like Tel is actually quite a nice profile fit for Son in terms of the way they play. I think they're quite similar profiles. So if Son does end up leaving, it would be nice to get Eze, because I don't think you need a direct replacement for Son. Because I'm not saying Tel is going to be as good as Son. I'm just saying the way they play, in terms of how they profile quite similar. So having someone like Eze, who's a bit of a different option on that left-hand side, would be quite good in my opinion. And obviously, he can also play centrally, and it gives us a bit more flexibility. So look, I love Eze. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful footballer. Do we need maybe a right-sided more? I mean, in theory, yes, but as well, maybe it depends on where he sees Decky. I mean, if Decky's seen as a right-sided, maybe if Son leaves, you do need a left side. So it kind of there's a lot of moving parts there. And also, when you think about it, if he does see Decky as a right winger, then Eze's even more perfect because he can fill in the 10 and on the left. So it kind of depends what Frank sees. But I do get the argument right now. If you're looking at if you're looking at Decky as a midfielder and you're looking at where our wingers stand, you probably would say we need a right winger.
Yeah, the way I look at it, the way that number 10s play under Thomas Frank and the way wingers play under Thomas Frank, I would say Decky probably is a bit more suited out wide on the right-hand side. And you've got Odebear as well, who's going to be flirting between both and right-hand side, where he played the majority of his minutes on right-hand side last season. I think if Decky is going to be predominantly a right winger for us, then I think the Eze one makes complete sense. Really does. And as well with Eze, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he play a couple of games over on the right wing over the past couple of years as well? So I mean, he's a very versatile player that can play across all. I know he's not favoured there, and you want him on the left or central, but he has played on the right hand side before as well. So if Decky is going to be considered as a right winger, we have to go and get Eze, and now there is no excuse not to get him with a chance. If that is true, if the rumours are true, then you go and get him. Like it's a no-brainer in my opinion. Someone of that quality coming into the prime of his career, tried and tested in the Premier League, brings up the numbers that he does, impacts games, gets numbers. I mean, he's an unbelievable player, man. You get the deal done.
I 100% agree. I think he's ready for the step up. He's got a great mentality. I think he's a great. I think he fits in with Frank's no dickhead policy as well. I think he looks like a guy who gets on very well with all his teammates and everything. He seems to have a great mentality about him. I think he's technically fantastic. would add us another set piece threat. I know we got like Porro and Maddison, but Eze just adds that. And imagine Eze and Maddison linking up as well. I think they could really create a really good dynamic between them two. And it just gives us a different kind of threat down that left side. Someone really great ball retention, really good dribbling ability, but has the end product to match it as well. I think he's been growing for the last few years in the Premier League. I thought when he first came in, you could see the talent, but wasn't quite put together. But now he's been fantastic for a number of years, and he needs that big move. We've got Champions League football. He needs to be on that stage, and I think it would be a fantastic signing for us. And also, it means there's not as much pressure on Tell to deliver immediately. You got Eze there as well. Alexa allows him to bed in a lot nicer. I just think, yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. I think Tell would be a fantastic addition. Let's just hope we're serious about it.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's like it's been a name that's been constantly linked to us over the past couple of years. And every time he's come to Tottenham with whining and dining his family in the boxes, and it's always felt like this transfer is going to happen. And then since that kind of 60 million clause, it felt like maybe it's kind of drifting away. But with Eze running his contract down and no sign of him signing a new one, all the moving parts just seem to be aligning right now. And I think now is the time to strike. Now is the time to get this deal done. And if they don't, I'll be really disappointed, to be honest.
Agreed.
Let's talk about...
but it's also fair to say there's no real reports in the moment. Just quickly, there's no real actual reports about Tottenham being serious about it. It's just reports about what the known current financials are. So let's hope that we start to hear some stuff soon.
Yeah, but even if you don't hear reports, like, still, it'll be stupid of Spurs not to get this done, because it's a player that's attainable. I don't know if anyone above us is gonna move for him. We've been flirting for him for years. I wouldn't say he's been flirting with us, but there's been just kind of slight things that people have been reading into, being like, look, this guy really wants to come to Spurs. And I feel like he'll be such a great fit for us in all aspects, in literally all aspects. It just makes sense. It makes total sense for this deal to get done. So if you're watching, Daniel, get this done right now. If he's our first signing under the Frank Revolution, then that will get people... that will send people wild, to be honest. It really would. Let's talk about Dennis Cirkin, which is an interesting one, because we were talking about Kyle Walker-Peters last week, and I said to you, what about Dennis Cirkin? Would you want him? And don't think you were quite positive about it. But Scott Wilson from the Sunderland Echo says that Tottenham are reportedly lining up a bid for Dennis Cirkin. Chelsea, Palace, West Ham and Everton have also been monitoring Dennis out in Sunderland. Good season last year. And it says the former Tottenham graduate did have a £6 million buyback clause following his move to Sunderland in 2021, but that clause did expire on the 30th of June 2024. Sunderland do want to retain Cirkin. If contract talks prove unproductive, they run the risk of running down his contract before he leaves as a free agent next summer. So he's going to be going into the last year of his contract. Spurs desperate for some club-trained players through the door. Dennis Cirkin at 23 years of age. I mean, when he was in the academy here, he was very highly talked of. Pochettino really loved him when he was in the academy and thought he was going to go on to play first-team football for Spurs. Didn't really materialise. I think injuries held him back quite a bit when he was at the academy. And I think he was kind of been a bit of a slow burner at Sunderland as well. But the last couple of years, he's been, their starting left-back and playing really well.
Yeah, to be fair, I have seen he's been getting quite a lot of rave reviews at Sunderland. I believe last season, though, not the season that's just been the season before, he only played 8 games. I'm assuming that's because he was injured. So he has had his injury problems as well since he's been at Sunderland. And apparently that's not been something he's been able to shake completely. But last season, I think he played nearly 40 games. So clearly, he's playing a lot more consistently. I was looking into him a bit because obviously that is an option, can't be dismissed because we're just lacking those homegrown club trained players. And if Kyle Walker-Peters is the best you can look at, maybe you can try and see what any other option. You have to consider every option, I should say, is what I should say. And I think Cirkin did have a really good season last season in the Championship. I think got like 5 goal contributions and he played a lot of games. And from what I can see in his stats and stuff, he has really good defensive stats. Makes a lot of tackles, rarely gets beaten in one-on-one duels and stuff. I've been watching a few clips of him, seems to have quite good pace, likes to get down the left. Actually, though I was looking at some of the more offensive stats. I know he has 5 goal contributions, which isn't bad, but actually doesn't create too much for a fullback. His the amount of chances he creates is actually quite low. I think he's maybe more. And also the amount of crosses he puts in and stuff like that, also fairly low as well for fullback. When he's compared to fullbacks, obviously he's in the Championship, and but he did play for a team. Obviously, got promoted, so they did quite well in the Championship, one of the better teams. And he wasn't like the fullback who was tasked with going forward a lot more. Maybe it was the other guy on the other side of Sunderland, but he seemed to be a bit more kind of defensively solid, but like offensively. What seems to be his main asset, he likes to make late runs in the box, and he definitely arrives at the back post, and he gets headers in, and he gets shots in, and when the opposition winger is putting in crosses in, he's very much good at finding space and arriving late. So that's a good asset. But is he better than Kyle Walker-Peters? I mean, obviously, Walker-Peters has played in the Premier League.
Good one for Ange then.
What do you say?
A good one for Ange.
Yeah, good one for Ange, exactly. So, but is he better than Kyle Walker-Peters? That's the question. Walker-Peters has played in the Prem. Cirkin has never done it. Cirkin's done all right in the Championship, but then again, Walker-Peters got defender of one of the team of the season in the Championship when he was there last year. So, I think right now I'd still side with Kyle Walker-Peters if I was to choose. I think from what I can see, I think he's still ahead. But Cirkin is still 5 years younger. Maybe he could develop into a really good Premier League left back. I think remains to be seen. But I think Kyle Walker-Peters is still less of a risk at the moment.
It's also less of a risk just because he can play both sides and he's more versatile on that front. So yeah, look, I would agree with you right here, right now. Kyle Walker-Peters is the better player, but you just never know how Cirkin is going to develop, and he seems to be kind of on an upward trajectory right now, Dennis Cirkin. So who knows what can happen? He's still very young, 23 years of age. I did put a poll out on X earlier. Who would you rather, Cirkin or Kyle Walker-Peters? And it's really split. So currently, there's been about 500 votes. 47.9% says Cirkin, 52.1% says Kyle Walker-Peters. So it looks like Spurs fans don't really know which direction to go in with this one. But look, I think one of them to bring in is probably vital going into next season. And whatever way Frank goes with it, if he chooses Cirkin or if he chooses Kyle Walker-Peters, I'll completely back it. I'm not really bothered each way, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just funny how we're in this situation, deciding Kyle Walker-Peters or Cirkin are one of our first summer signings. That's the debate we're having. Obviously, we want to have debates like Eze or Mbeumo or Gyökeres or Sesko, those kind of debates, but having a Cirkin or Kyle Walker-Peters debate. So there you have it.
Yeah, in 2025, it's quite mad.
Yeah.
Next up, a publication called Team Talk, not the most reliable, says that Tottenham are eyeing up a formal move to sign Brentford striker Yohan Wissa. Thomas Frank is believed that Brentford are holding out for at least £40 million to let the 28-year-old leave. £40 million. So would you prefer him for 40 million or Callum Wendo for 30 million?
Well, Callum Wendo's a lot younger, but only done it in Ligue 1. Obviously, he knows Wissa. I mean, I find it weird to say Callum Wendo, considering I didn't know much about him not long ago. And obviously, Wissa's done really well last season in the Premier League. And to be fair, even before that, he was decent. He was never bad. But last season, obviously, was a real breakout season for him in terms of being a striker, scoring that amount of goals. Probably Callum Wendo probably represents better value for money, and maybe he could be as good as Wissa, for a lot cheaper, and he's younger. If you're taking a Moneyball approach, you probably go with Callum Wendo. If you're taking the approach of I want a tried and tested Premier League player who I can trust to do the job next season, regardless of price, you probably go for Wissa. So I probably would go. I think Callum Wendo would be the smarter option, but I think Wissa's not a bad option to fall back on.
Yeah, I think Wissa, to be honest. I think Wissa, tried and tested, 28 years of age, not too. I think probably in the prime of his career right now. When you're talking about making a difference off the bench, scored 19 Premier League goals. Frank knows how to get the best out of him. They obviously know each other very well. So I think I would probably just about side with Wissa. But again, whoever Frank decides, if I'll back the decision, I'd be happy to see both of them come to the club. So, but I think I'll probably just about side with Wissa. Now we do have a confirmed report for you guys today from Alistair Gold, and he says Tottenham have submitted new planning application for 4 residential towers that will be built on the south end of the stadium. They'll be built next to the planned hotel, which is set to be completed in time for Euro 2028. So it looks as though we're more ready planned for Euro 2028 than we are for next season.
But I saw a random WhatsApp with the names redacted saying the hotels were going to be shelved. What happened to that? Seems as though that's not happening. Fantastic. More buildings, more property, more things to make money off.
FC.
Great. More planning permissions. All fantastic stuff. Riveting.
All right, we'll leave it there. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.